A volatile session on Dalal Street saw the Nifty and the sensex end over 0.5% in the red. The Nifty gives up 23,700. Banks fall in tandem with the blue chips, but mid-caps outperform.
JSW Energy's arm JSW Neo snaps up on O2 Power with near 4,700 megawatt of renewable capacity for about 12,500 crore rupees. Analysts give the deal a thumbs up.
Ola Electric feels the heat after a slew of top-level exits. The stock falls 4% after the firm's chief marketing officer and chief technology officer resign at one go with immediate effect. This brings to the fore the internal challenges for the EV maker that has been losing market share. Hello and welcome to Markets Forward, your go-to show where we aim to get you all the key data points to gear you up for the next trading day. I'm Reema Tendulkar and with me is Vinny. Hi, Vinny.
Hi, Reema. Thanks for that. An interesting day shaping up, right? At one point of time, I thought that we would see some bit of a green, but markets closing at the day's lowest point. Nothing much of an excitement there.
Indeed, and volatility picked up, right? I guess that's got to do with the fact that volumes are on the lighter side. So the impact of any news or any move is so much more exaggerated. But we swung in close to about a 300-point band. But as Vinny pointed out, after opening a bit subdued, there was a recovery in the markets led by the banking stocks. The Nifty went to levels above 23,900, but selling pressure picked up at elevated levels in the second half of the trading session. We've closed below our 200-day moving average and pretty much closed at the day's low. The Nifty by the close of trade was nearly 1% off from its intraday high, and the Nifty Bank was about 1.8% from its intraday high. The mid-cap index saw some buying in the second half of the trading session, so the mid-cap index closed with a gain of about 0.4%, but even the last tick on the mid-cap index was closer to the flatter side. The advanced decline ratio, though, was negative, about 2 stocks advancing for 3 in the red. Sectorally, pharma and IT managed to close up in the green, so some buying emerged, particularly in pharma. But on the way down, it wasn't just banks, but even autos, metals, realty. Across the board, there was that sell-off there. And Reliance Industry, that big boy, was weak in trade.
Absolutely, and that's why a bit of a weakish day coming in for the markets overall that we saw not much of an excitement. But well, here's a lineup of what we have in store for you in this show today. We start with top movers and shakers of the day with Urmas Thakkar. Well, the stock of the day is also going to be Ola Electric, so we'll talk about that and we will give you the key reasons why the stock was buzzing in trade today. Last but not the least, we will delve into what are the key market events to watch out for in trade in tomorrow's trading session. But let's get started and go across to Urmas, who is here to tell us what are the top movers in trade today. What was it that he was keeping an eye out?
Extremely choppy, extremely choppy. That was the day that summarized it. It was the broader markets that was seeing some topsy-turvy moves. Can't say the same for the benchmarks because it was a one-way fall in the second half of the session. But the sector that stood out was pharma. A sector that has been standing out through the last week has been pharma. And you can see on the screen, AstraZeneca was up 16% at the close of trade. Pfizer also almost double-digit gains. Biocon continues to build on its moves. Lupin ending at the high point of the day, as did JB Chemicals as well, with gains of around 3%. What did not have a very good day, though, was real estate, because that index saw some bit of profit booking. The index, though, is comfortably up 35% for the year, but some stocks seeing profit booking of anywhere between 3 to 5% in today's session. IT was a sector that was in focus since the morning. It did not have that kind of a reaction as envisaged, but most of the stocks, particularly the mid-cap IT names, saw swift recovery towards the later half of trade, be it Persistent, Coforge, Emphasis. As you can see, the recovery that came in the final few minutes. But TCS and Infosys had a choppy day and they contributed to the downside in today's trading session. Some of the other newsmakers that made headlines in today's session, be it Vodafone Idea, Gujarat Fluoro ending at the low point of the day, Adani Enterprises, the news that came in after almost towards the close of trade with the Wilmar JV, and also the increase in its weightage on the Nifty playing its part in that 7.5% up move. And a couple of listings today, Senor's ending well, but Carraro listing at a discount. And lastly, some stocks that did well on the back of volumes, Happiest Minds, Serra, Credit Access, all of these stocks gaining anywhere between 8% to 15% on extremely strong volumes. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much for that. That rounds up the list of the big movers of the day, stock-specific action. But in the banking pack, it was a mixed bag. So IndusInd Bank managed to close up in the green, and that was the only large-cap bank where you had a positive uptick. But all the others, so whether it's in HDFC Bank that was down more than 1%, Kotak Mahindra Bank also down nearly 1%, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank also weak in trade. So IndusInd Bank was the only stock that stood out. Keep your eye on the rupee as well, because the rupee continues to trade at very weak levels, close to about 85.5, while Brent crude was at 74, and the dollar index continued to stay above that 108 mark. PSUs, that was another pocket of weakness. So you had NMDC, BHEL, BEL. These were some of the drags today.
Absolutely, but we also have our guest joining in with us, Jay Thakkar, who's here. Jay, thanks so much for joining in with us. And, Jay, first, a quick look at in terms of the market that you're watching out for. What are we seeing in terms of that? Because, again, the Nifty couldn't sustain that level. We saw a fall coming in. So what are we watching out for? Volumes are surely low. What should we be watching out for now?
Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to you, Rima. Well, see, overall, 23,800 to 900 levels has been really, Nifty has been finding resistance around those levels, and until we get a meaningful or a convincing close about those levels, I think the overall trend for the market will be sideways to negative. In fact, on the lower side, there is a chance that Nifty might go and test the levels of 23,300. At least in Gen series. The volatility is likely to expand in this month because we have a couple of events. One, we have a US President-elect take charge. We have, pre-budget kind of a move which is expected either side. And then, of course, we have, the quarterly results which are going to start very soon. So these kind of things are basically going to increase the volatility. And, India, we are expecting it to move to 17 to 18, and because of which 23,300 levels will be tested. Today, definitely, because of the NAV propping or, probably because of the rebalancing that was happening in the index, we had seen this kind of a momentum that came in mid-cap Nifty, or maybe in banking and financials. I think this is likely to continue going forward in the remaining part of the series as well. I think that defensives as a sector overall, maybe pharma or FMCG and IT, they are likely to relatively outperform the high beta names.
There was a defensive tilt to the markets today. So pharma was the top gainer, 1% up. IT made a comeback, 0.5% higher, and FMCG too, closing up with a gain of about 0.3%. But one of the big movers of the day was Ola Electric, the stock ending down 5.5% after senior level exits took place. Parikshit is here with the details. Parikshit.
Well, a lot of things are weighing down the Ola Electric stock. One of them is a sharp drop in market share. If you look at the December numbers from the Vahan portal, their market share has dropped to 18.9%. Remember, at the start of this fiscal in April, their share was a whopping 52 or 55%. So that's a big drop. Their sales numbers for this month are around 13,000. That is a major drop over last month. In November, for example, they had sold 29,024 scooters. In October, they had sold around 41,000 scooters. So their market share is now in the third place. Bajaj Auto occupying the top spot with 25% market share. TVS, the second spot with 23%. And Ola at number 3 with an 18% market share. The decline in stock price that we've seen also to some extent being affected by the high-level exits. On Friday, we saw Anshul Khandelwal, the Chief Marketing Officer of Ola Electric, Subhanil Chatterjee, the Chief Technology Officer, also resigning, citing personal reasons. That's not all. Earlier this year, the company secretary, the chief people officer, the deputy vice president had all resigned. Also, head of planning and strategy, the head of partnership and corporate affairs had resigned in October. The Ola Krutrim head, Ravi Jain, had also resigned in October. All in all, 500 employees are being laid off by Ola Electric, and this entire exercise will come to an end in December, that is by tomorrow. So all in all, two major factors which are impacting the stock. One, a major decline in EV sales, and number two, top-level exits not going down well with investors.
Okay, that's a word on Ola Electric. Jay, any thoughts on Ola Electric that you have? What should we be keeping an eye on? Because every week we hear something new and different there.
Well, technically speaking, this is a non-F&O, first of all, stock. So And second is that, the kind of recovery which we had seen in this stock did not continue at the higher levels. Rather, I would say that the bounce which we had seen in this stock from 67, 70 rupees until say approximately 100. Uh, we did not see the volumes as well as the momentum continuing on the upside. Rather, it continuously saw profit booking at the levels of 100 or so, and now it has broken the range on the downside. So it was consolidating within the range of 90 to 100, which has been broken on the lower side. So now, until 100 levels are not taken off on Ola Electric, the overall trend remains sideways to negative. The momentum has also weakened.
Let's get to JSW Energy. That closed up in the green after the company's arm, JSW Neo, signed a definitive agreement with O2 Power to acquire nearly 4.7 gigawatts of a renewable energy platform. Brokerages like the development. They're betting on the stock. Vivek is here with the details.
Well, that's right. So JSW Energy was one of the stocks that did quite well in the session today. Like you mentioned, the acquisition coming in, and this particular acquisition came in at an enterprise value of over 12,468 crore. This is for 4.7 gigawatts, and this is what the street really liked, the attractive valuations at which this particular deal has been done for assets that have clear operational visibility. What is it that brokerages are saying? Axis Capital has maintained an ad. They have a target price of 760 rupees a share. They say that the locked-in generation capacity is now up to almost 25 gigawatts from the earlier 20 gigawatts post this particular acquisition. The targeted EBITDA that the management will share with the analyst community of close to 3,750 crore amounts to almost 71% of FY24 consolidated EBITDA as far as JSW Energy is concerned. Equity upside they give to this particular development is at close to 35 rupees a share. What is it that Investec is saying? Investec has gone ahead and done their own calculation to value this particular platform or this particular set of assets. They say the portfolio is valued at close to 18,000 crore, given equity valuation of close to 8,000 crore, the remainder being debt. On the back of that, they ascribe an equity value of a potential 45 rupees a share, which is what the upside that they see to JSW Energy. MOSL, that's Motilal Oswal, is the most bullish when it comes to JSW Energy. They say this particular acquisition unlocks almost 57 rupees per share as far as JSW Energy is concerned. The interest cost for O2 Power is at 8.8%, which is competitive and at par with the company itself.
That we are getting a very, very high quality asset, and which is close a total at a built up to 4.7 gigawatt of capacity, out of which by June 25 almost 2.3 gigawatt will be operational. And as we are aware of wind build of around 8 to 8.5 crores per megawatt. And then we see that what is that turns to for 4.7 gigawatt. We have found this very, very attractive.
Okay, that was the management of JSW Energy, but we did have Siemens that's in focus today as well, and this is on the back of Chris Wood's greed and fear note. Now, Hormuz Patakia is joining in with us to give us the details about this one. Hormuz.
One of the two stocks that Chris Wood has turned bullish on, HDFC Bank being the other one, but Siemens is the one that has been in the headlines right now. In the Asia ex-Japan long-only portfolio and in the India long-only portfolio, both will see an introduction of Siemens with a 4% weightage each. Now, for the Asia ex-Japan long-only portfolio, the investment will be adjusted by trimming the investment in the preference shares of Samsung Electronics and in SK Hynix, which is one of the largest semiconductor manufacturing companies in South Korea. And for the India long-only portfolio, that investment will be adjusted by removing the investment in AU Small Finance Bank. So that is how Siemens' investment will be accommodated in both these portfolios. Now, Siemens has been in the news all through last week. The management in its earnings call shared some commentary on the road ahead, which the street did not like. The stock since then has been under pressure. It has declined in 7 out of the last 8 trading sessions. It's down almost 15% since the 19th of December. But on a year-to-date basis, it has been a good year for Siemens, as has been the case for most of the capital goods companies. The stock is up around 60% despite this correction that we have seen through the course of last week. So, Chris Wood choosing to buy the dip in Siemens India in what has been otherwise a good year for the company.
Thank you very much for that. As you pointed out, 19% fall from the 15th of December. HDFC Bank is also on Chris Wood's radar, and in his greed and fear note, Abhishek joins in with the details.
Well, to begin with, first time, in a fiscal or in a calendar year, we are seeing HDFC Bank outperforming the, Nifty Bank index over a year-on-year period. Now, we have Chris Wood, who has written on HDFC Bank. He's reintroduced investment in Asia ex Japan long-only portfolio. So, over there, they will have a weightage of HDFC Bank at 4%, which is an additional of 1%. And this will come in at a cost of Axis Bank's, portfolio reduction, which will move or flow into HDFC Bank. Recently, Citi had an investor conference with HDFC Bank management. They said that there is system-wide slowdown in credit and liquidity is too tight for them. So, endeavor is to reduce the LDR, that is lending deposit ratio, sell down assets and repay HDFC's Limited's borrowings, which will constrain their loan growth. So, mortgage, MSME as well as the PSL is their focused area of segment for growth. They say that the new customer onboarding is on track and they are engaging actively with customers with respect to keeping their funds with the bank itself. The net interest margin will be steady and they expect improvement over there. There are many levers which they feel can improve their net interest margin. Persistency, high inflation, over leveraging and credit flow curtailment may lead to spell of stress over other portfolios as well for the industry as a whole. Brokerages remain bullish on HDFC Bank. Their target price ranging from as low as 1,950 per share to more than 2,100 per share across brokerages on screen for reference. Back to you.
Thank you so much for that, Abhishek. But let's also bring on board Anand Tandon, who's also joining in with us to give us in the conversation. Anand, let's talk about a couple of names that we just discussed. Firstly, JSW Energy. What's your thought coming in on this one with the obviously recent acquisition that's come in announced over there? So what is your thought on JSW Energy?
Well, the purchase is obviously done at a very attractive price, but that also tells you something about the rest of the business. If you are able to buy more or less at equity value, a business which is like 4 crores per megawatt on solar and 6 or 8 per megawatt for wind, why should the operating company be priced any significantly higher? And when you look at the price that JSW Energy trades at, it is way premium to this. Now, there is some premium you can grant for an operating asset as opposed to one which is about to get operational. But, I think overall the kind of premium that the market is putting for renewable energy is way too high. It's not as if there is sudden growth that you will expect to see in terms of the net returns that you will get. It's a prefixed, it's almost like a debt instrument. If at all there is possible attrition because the generation may be lower than what you are actually putting on the spreadsheet. So net great acquisition will certainly enhance the value. The value for an investor doesn't leave anything on the table.
Okay, another stock that we should be talking about is Adani Wilmar. In the last few minutes, Reema, we saw that fall coming in for Adani Wilmar. And why was that? Because now Adani Enterprises will be selling all their stake in Adani Wilmar. So this is going to be a two-part deal that will be happening. The JV that they signed with Wilmar Limited International, that is what they will be exiting. It's going to be an OFS and the other one will be sale to Wilmar. Now in this, what is it going to be? So first, Adani Enterprises will sell the 13% stake via an OFS in Adani Wilmar Limited, and this is to achieve that minimum public shareholding requirement. And apart from that, Wilmar International has agreed to buy 31% that is held by Adani Enterprises, the remaining one in Adani Wilmar. That's what they will be buying as well. So now Adani Wilmar will completely exit the 44% stake that they hold in Adani Wilmar. Adani Enterprises will sell completely. Now, these proceeds are going to be mainly used by Adani Enterprises Limited. They will be raising around $2 billion that one could talk about in terms of these transactions that will take place. And this will be used for their other businesses, the core infrastructure platforms, the energy, utility side, transportation, as well as the logistics side of the business. So this is an interesting one coming in trade today. And Adani Wilmar, that's why it was down almost a couple of percent in trade. Adani Enterprises trading with gains of almost 7% by the end of the day is what we saw coming in Reema today.
Okay, let's get in our experts on this. Jay, Adani Enterprises, big move. Is there a breakout on the charts after this 7% gain?
Of course, Reema, I would say that, see, after almost, 21st of November is where we have seen this price coming in, because that is where we saw the reports coming from the US, as far as the US courts are concerned. And there was a negative news on Adani, and we had seen a gap down. And that day's high was 25.39, Rima. And today, Adani has managed to take off those levels almost after a month or more than that. So finally, it's moving that into the gap area. So the probability of now the stock, completing the gap of 2750 to 2800 is quite high. So from here on, the gap filling process might just start, as the momentum is absolutely in favor of the bulls out here. Also, Rima, I would say that looking at the futures data, then Adani has now not much of short positions left. Rather, I would say the short covering has already started since a couple of trading sessions now. So the probability of filling the gap of 2750 to 2800 is quite high. And on the low side, now I believe that 2500 will act as a very crucial support.
Okay, thank you so much, Jay, as well as Anand, for joining with us on the show today. It's always a pleasure having you all on the show. But on that note, we're going to skip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. After the break, we'll get you the top corporate voices along with the key market events to watch out for in trade.
Welcome back. You're watching Markets Forward, and these were the top voices that we heard through the day. So first up, KEI Industry. The management said that exports from US and Europe are picking up, and therefore going forward, they expect a significant revenue contribution from exports once their incremental capacity comes on stream. For now, for FY25, they maintain the revenue guidance of 15 to 17% and the EBITDA margin guidance of 10.5 to 11%. They've also planned a significant capex in the Sanand plant, wherein the company is investing close to about 2,000 crore rupees. And once it comes on stream, the overall capacity will go up by 60 to 65%.
Next up on the list is PNB Housing. The management is optimistic about the housing sector as all segments in the sector are doing well. Also, it has seen a good traction in the retail affordable housing segment. The housing finance company expects its affordable housing book to grow from 3,000 crore rupees to 5,000 crore rupees. And the management also stated that there is no challenge of liquidity for housing finance companies, and that demand remains robust for all the segments the company is focused on. Okay, and before we wrap up this edition of this show, we will go across to Abhishek, who's here to tell us which are the key events to watch out for in tomorrow's trading session. Abhishek?
Well, we need to begin with in India. You watch out for the government, budget deficit that will come out tomorrow. The previous data was a negative of 7.5 lakh crore. Infrastructure output year on year, that data will come out. The previous reading was about 3.1% YOY growth. External debt, that data will also come out. The previous one was around $682.3 billion. In terms of our market or capital market, watch out for Indo-Farm Equipment IPO, about 260 crores that will open tomorrow. There will be a new listing tomorrow, Unimec Aerospace, which will get listed on bourses tomorrow. And with reference to, another news, the government had extended deadline for imported coal-based power plants to operate at full capacity, and that date will end tomorrow for them. In terms of USA, housing price index will come out. It's estimated to grow at 0.5% month on month versus 0.7% month on month. That the data was reported last time around. And also YOY, the last time data was about 4.4% growth over there. Back to you.
Thank you. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Markets Forward. Thank you for watching. We'll be back with more news and updates.